Dirt Trax is sponsored by Can-Am, the ride says it all. Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. And by Yamaha, conquer outdoors.
I've hunted and fished since I can't remember as a small kid, and we've had the introduction of turkeys into Ontario maybe some 20 years ago, and I really haven't had the opportunity to do that. I have hunted turkey on a couple of occasions and had no success. Coming down here to Nebraska to go hunting with the folks from Yamaha was an opportunity that I really looked forward to.
I used this last year, so I can't shake it. I think I kissed it last year.
Here in Nebraska, we've kind of found a little bit of a gold mine. We love it here. We've been here for a couple years now, and there's tons of birds, and Doug's a great guy, and he lets us kind of do our own thing.
We've been hunting turkeys in Nebraska for about 9 years. We have over 60,000 acres leased. It's been a crazy hunt. A lot of times I can't tell people how good it is because they don't believe me.
Okay.
Outdoorsmen, they may have different personalities and they may run the spectrum, but when they get into camp, you kind of downshift into hunting mode, and everybody respects each other. They respect what they're going to try and do in the field. They're safe about everything they do, and all in all, what it equals is a really good time.
We got out and we got greeted with wind and freezing rain, and it wasn't what I expected. Actually, it was warmer up in Northern Ontario, where I live, down here in Nebraska. I mean, we've dealt with snow and wind, and it's made for some really interesting situations in harvesting a bird.
You know, this time of year, turkeys are really, really unpredictable. You're not sure which way they're going to go. A lot of times, if they're not callable, you've got to adapt to that movement. Get ahead of them, get set up with decoys, and let them come to you a little bit, and then they'll come to those calls a lot easier.
We set out in the afternoon and we'd set up in a different area, and we were hunting out of a tent, and it was windy. I mean, the wind was just unbelievable, and I'm thinking, here we go again. We saw birds come down, and they were hesitant to come in close to our decoys. But then at one point we thought they were gone, and then all of a sudden he's going, get ready, get ready. One came within range, and Kieran was saying, shoot, shoot. And I'm thinking, this is a long ways away, but you know what? He knows what he's doing, so I'm leaning back in this chair, and I took a shot, and boom, it just dropped. It hit the ground, and I went, whoa, I understand all this now. And my old hands were just going like this. It was worth it. I mean, I'm hooked. It was just a great way to end the day under really adverse conditions. We get out to go and walk to the turkey, and we're standing there looking at the turkey, and I looked up and I said, Kean, there goes the tent. It's just like a big tumbleweed blowing down the field, and we had to chase after and get the tent. I mean, that's the kind of weather we hunted in. And I mean, it was a hard day of hunting, but at the end of the day, we were able to harvest a bird. It was my first turkey, good-sized turkey, and I'll tell you what, it was just an awesome way to finish the day off.
Wow. Awesome, buddy.
That is amazing.
The best thing about the product Yamaha Outdoors builds for the outdoorsman is, aside from the features and benefits that we provide off the showroom floor with the product, whether that's on-command four-wheel drive or Ultramatic automatic transmission, independent suspension, all of those things, is that it's a relative blank canvas for the outdoorsman to do what he wants with it. He can take those features, he can take that vehicle and put it to his specific use.
We're in a real steep rolling hills, lots of cedars, and these ATVs work wonderful out here because you've got to be able to move fast. Those birds are covered 2 to 3 miles, so you need to get ahead of them, and that's what they're great for in Nebraska, moving around and getting in front and adapting to what those birds are doing.
Yamaha builds our utility ATVs and side-by-side vehicles to be tools in the field, period. They are functional, they serve a purpose, and whether that purpose is for the ag guy, the farmer, the rancher, or the outdoorsman, it's really no matter. It sounds kind of point blank, but they really are built to be tools in the field for whoever wants to use them for their purpose.
Hunting enthusiast doesn't necessarily want or need a great big bike. They want something that is a working vehicle that gives them the ability to get into places. And let's face it, when you're hunting, you're into some tight, narrow, nasty places, and Yamaha's doing a great job at targeting that market, and they're doing a great job with their product. It works good, and it's very enjoyable to operate.
It's really no surprise that Arctic Cat's wildly popular Wildcat lineup was going to expand, and for 2014 that's exactly what it did. And let me tell you, these new kitties have some serious claws. Mark Esla from Arctic tells us a little bit more.
What's great and new about the Wildcat 4 versus the two-seat version of the Wildcat is we thought about the passengers. The wheelbase is lengthened by 29 inches to accommodate that second row of seating. We elevated the seating by about 4 inches so you can be in the back seat and see over the people in front of you, so you can enjoy the scenery and the ride that you're on. We also put the cup holders, 12-volt accessory in the back seat, so the people in the back seat have the same accommodations that they do up front. We added the doors that were really popular with the original Wildcat. There's the same tube frame doors that you see, and the Wildcat is in the back seat as well.
Amenities are a huge selling feature in this market, and Arctic Cat adding extra amenities to the second row that the competitors don't have helps them to differentiate themselves from everybody else. And let me tell you, the second row of doors on the Wildcat 4 are super cool.
When we did the Wildcat 4, obviously you don't create a product like this right out of the gate. This was done in conjunction with our two-seater, and we lengthened the wheelbase, obviously, and we lengthened it by 29 inches. And what the advantages of that is obviously that added another row of seating, but you also get a whole different ride and feel of the vehicle. Even though, you know, you want to keep it down to a minimum, we didn't want to make a great long train type vehicle, and so that was something we optimized. But yet, when you go out and ride the 4-seat vehicle, you get a lot different ride handling characteristics. The longer wheelbase makes it a lot smoother over the whoops, for instance. And as you're going over them, it'll be a smoother ride for both the back row passengers and the front row. And then it handles all the same things that the Wildcat does.
The Wildcat 4 is going to be a huge success for Arctic Cat's Wildcat line, and it answers the call of sport side-by-side riders looking to travel with more people. But for this season, it's not just the lengthened wheelbase that differentiates the 4 from last year's models. There's a few included features in all Wildcats for this season that make them different.
We added the new Team Industries flyweight clutch to all our Wildcat line this year. And what that means is it's a different clutch system than what we had before. Snowmobile Industries is very familiar with it, but it's a flyweight type clutch. And why we did that is it's a more responsive clutch system than what we had before. It works more efficiently to get the power to ground and get that throttle response that the Wildcat customer is looking for.
Improving on throttle response, acceleration, and overall motor feel was something that Arctic Cat needed to address on last year's Wildcat, and the new Team Industries clutch kit does just that. While the 4 was huge news, Arctic had one more thing up their sleeve with the Wildcat X.
Well, the X took all the great things you find on the standard Wildcat, and we added some stuff. Obviously, when you look at the Wildcat X, it has painted aluminum bumpers, has the Max XTP Bighorn 2.0 tires, the color match seats, the graphics package, all the great stuff that make the Wildcat X, but most importantly is the new engine. The new engine for the Wildcat X is powered up from what you're going to find on the standard Wildcat and the Wildcat 4 that we just came out with. And it wasn't just one magic bullet that made that powered up engine. There were several things that amount to about a 15% horsepower gain in that engine.
More power, more performance, and more people. Arctic Cat's Wildcat lineup has been expanded, broadening their range in the sports side-by-side category and proving just how dedicated they are to this industry.
For many years, buying an ATV was an exercise in compromise. To get what you needed, you often had to give up things that you wanted. But times are changing. Today, you don't have to compromise one bit, and in some cases, the ATV you're buying can perform multiple tasks better than the competition designed to only perform one. Specifically, I'm talking about Can-Am's Outlander Max. Yes, it is an extended chassis, 2-up ATV, and at first glance it does seem targeted more at the easy touring crowd. But to get the whole truth, you really do need to read the fine print. Look, there's no reason to go into a lot of detail about Can-Am's 1000R motor or G2 chassis. We've been over these components dozens of times. What we need to focus on today is answering the question, what makes the XTP the ultimate multi-purpose ATV? First, it's a Max, so there's no need to ride alone. And second, this is an XTP package with a 1000R V-twin mill putting out over 80 horsepower. So even when you do have a passenger saddled up on the back, you can still ride like a rock star. If they'll let go. That big king-queen style seat positions the passenger just slightly higher than the driver and far enough back, you'll probably forget they're even on board. Until they start beating you for pulling a wheelie, in which case it'll probably be mac and cheese for dinner. In all my years riding ATVs all over the world, I've only come across a handful of passengers who like to ride as fast as I did, which means it's more likely the majority of your two-up riding will be done at a more moderate pace. And this begs the question, why on earth do I need a set of fully adjustable Fox piggyback shocks for a Sunday afternoon tour with the wife? The answer, again, comes in two parts. First, because these shocks are fully adjustable, you can tune the ATV to ride softer for those mellow two-up treks through the woods. Your passenger, who may have originally given you crap about buying the overly fancy XTP model, will now be thanking you for riding so smoothly. It's kind of funny how that works, isn't it? The other reason you need these shocks is because the Max is every bit as good for one-up riding as it is for riding with a passenger. Other than an increase in turning radius, you're really sacrificing nothing. So, thanks to your sweet Fox shocks, you can ditch the two-up seat, crank up the clickers, and go for a real rip with your buddies. Tri-mode DPS comes in handy at this point, soaking up any nasty rock hits and softening the feedback you feel through the handlebars. Many a Dirt Trax bun fight has been instigated by the suggestion that a longer ATV handles bumps better. Some of us think it does, others think it makes no difference at all. One thing we do all agree on is that the Outlander Max, with its extended chassis, handles mud better than any other one-up ATV we've ever ridden. So let's do a quick recap here. The Max XTP is comfy for two people, its shocks are fully tunable, it can easily be converted from two-up to one-up in seconds. It's still super fun and aggressive for one-up riding, and it's pretty darn cool looking no matter how you got it set up. I'm just not seeing any compromises here. The only thing I can find not to like about Can-Am's Outlander Max XTP is the rear seat backrest and the fact that it's not adjustable. Now, most of the people who rode on the back with me said they found the seat very comfortable, but having it adjustable would make it much easier for every rider to fine-tune it perfectly. Of the many things I do like about this ATV, the ones that stand out most are its almost ridiculous 1000R motor, its confidence-inspiring handling thanks to its G2 chassis, and its fully adjustable Ultra Plus suspension travel thanks to the Fox piggyback shocks. So, to sum things up, if you travel in pairs, this is your ATV.
Each season, I get a kick out of planning and prepping our project vehicles. Over the past few years, I've focused in on side-by-sides because of their huge aftermarket base of accessories, as well as their skyrocketing appeal amongst off-road riders. 2 seasons ago, our Can-Am Commander 1000 was transformed from a tame trail worker into a full-blown sport side-by-side monster. It featured ultra high-end suspension components and widening kit, trick sporty aluminum accessories, and aggressive sport purpose tires and rims. But at its core, this was a very expensive base vehicle with a significantly expensive build price when completed. Was it cool for TV? Absolutely. But it may not have had the broad appeal to the everyday rider due to the significant cost of both the vehicle and the parts to build it. switching gears last season, we opted to take a closer look at the dirty side of our business, and utilizing a Polaris Ranger XP800, we're able to create quite a substantial mud running recovery rig. The Project Recovery Ranger was big, bad, and ready to tackle anything the swamp could throw at it. 4,000-pound front and rear wireless winches, 30-inch mud tires on beadlock rims with a full-size spare, and all the lights you could ask for when a night run goes bad. This was one serious rig, but again, we started with a high-end, high-value vehicle that the average rider may not use as their starting point for a project. So what's the answer to creating a project that appeals to more users? Well, first off, you use a vehicle that's undeniably popular and can be seen everywhere I ride, you ride, or anyone rides. And you know what? I've got just the vehicle for it. The 50-inch wide Polaris Ranger has to be one of the most popular side-by-sides produced, and is offered in a premium 800 or super competitive and budget-friendly 570 version that I'll be using as the base model for this project. No matter where we travel, there are 50-inch wide razors everywhere. They fit where ATVs do, including the back of a truck, making them the ultimate side-by-side for price-conscious buyers looking to have some serious fun. With the right vehicle chosen, I set out to procure the proper parts to make this build more than just a money-burning design. No, for this build, I wanted things to be a little bit different. Keeping the 50-inch wide stance is important for this build, as is using parts that individually enhance the characteristics of the vehicle, while at the same time don't rely on one another to be functional. That way, any parts you choose to add will benefit you without having to blow the bank and purchase everything at once. My focus for this build is ultimate function at a reasonable cost with a solid return on investment. And sticking with function, I knew my first install would have to be a brand new set of wheels and tires. Sure, the stockers are half decent, but I had something way better than half decent in mind. As I stated, 50 inches wide is imperative, but who sells a set of aftermarket rims that stay at 50 inches wide? Only STI, with their brand new 6+1 offset designed HD rims for Polaris razors. Wrapping the rims is an all-new Octane Xd Tire that's built for side-by-sides and the abuse they produce. Staying 50 inches wide is pretty cool, but what's different about the Octane Xd Tire? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the answer is quite a lot. Featuring an 8-ply radial carcass, abuse is expected. Add to this heavier nylon cording and a non-directional tread pattern, and you not only have durability but a smooth ride. And with a name like Octane, you know an incredibly strong sidewall and extra wide tread will keep you rolling no matter the terrain. With a deep rock guard rim protector and specialized rubber compound for wicked grip and extended life, this truly is a tire without limits. If I know one thing to be true, it's that talk is cheap, so just installing these wheels and tires isn't gonna sell me. I've got to take the Octanes out and see if they truly rock. Grip is not an issue on the loamy trail I was roosting. In fact, the Octane tread was grabbing the earth harder than any other tires I've used. I could feel the firmer sidewall staying solid in hard corners and keeping the flex to a minimum. With side-by-side purpose-built tires, there can often be disadvantages by way of the tire feeling too stiff, but with the Octane XD, this just wasn't the case. Keeping it 50 inches wide, I knew I could rip the trail I was on and not worry about contacting the edge of the trail when I get a little loose. Clawing through rocky sections was easy and the grip was impressive. The Octane design seems to deliver an incredibly traction-focused ride with a solid list of features. It's smooth, it's confident, and it's the perfect fit for our 50-inch wide razor project. Starting off a project on the right foot, or rather the right set of rubber, really gives us a great baseline. I feel this Razor 570 is going to be the ultimate dirt rooster, able to keep up with sport side-by-sides and yet still go places they physically can't. Stay tuned to future episodes as we continue our upgrades, in particular in the coming weeks with Fox Shocks.
Dirt Trax Television has been sponsored by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. Can-Am, the ride says it all. And by Arctic Cat, share our passion.